JoJo's Steel Ball Run Episode 1 was the most entertaining episode of anime I've seen in a long time. It had absolutely everything: funny moments, character building, world building, action, and racism. This is peak. Steel Ball Run is my favorite JoJo part, and I was just reminded why. So what makes it so great? Well, let's find out. First, we're introduced to the premise of this part. There's essentially a race across the US, and there's huge cash prizes for it. The person who's presenting this is frankly a closeted beta male, as we all are sometimes, but that's besides the point. This series essentially gives us world building from the start with this race and why so many people would be involved in it to begin with, which is great. Next, we meet the characters. First up is Gyro Zeppeli, this Chad character. He has this grand entrance where he humiliates a loser thief right away. Extreme aura from the start. The still balls alone make him stand out, and that's a big part of him, the still balls. Then we're introduced to Johnny Joestar, a former jockey turned cripple who gets exhilarated by Gyro's big steel balls. What happens is he touches Gyro's steel ball and it makes him completely forget that he's disabled and he stands up. And from that point forward, Johnny Joestar's main goal is to understand Gyro's big steel magical balls. So not only is Gyro this Giga Chad main character, he has these steel balls that can enchant people who are disabled into no longer being that. Also, did I forget to mention, the series takes place in the 1890s. So if you are a white man, you are referred to as a white man. If you are a Native American, you also use your legs to race instead of a horse, which in my opinion is very funny. Then when the race is about to start, Gyro essentially says to Johnny, who's infatuated with Gyro's big steel balls, you know what to do to get on the horse. And once Johnny heard the divine words from the person he loves the most, he calls the horse over and beckons for it to let him mount it. And the horse of course obliges and throws him on him, and then he's ready for the race. And then the race starts. We see a bunch of actions, a lot of different participants. This Middle Eastern or Indian guy, not quite sure, is riding a camel, right? And he gets knocked out, of course. We're introduced to Diego Brando, who knows a lot about horses, apparently is pointing out quirks about Gyro's horse and mechanical maneuvering of horses and things like that. And while this is all happening, we're introduced to someone who might as well be the main character, Poco Loco. This guy was so lucky throughout the entire episode. Just give him the plot armor right now. Like we already know this guy's someone special, but he's in a rush because he completely missed the start of the race in very, let's just say, usual fashion. But it doesn't matter because this dude is apparently so lucky to the point where he just quickly catches up to the back group. And not only does he catch up to the back group, this guy watches the Native American, also known as Sandman, jump over this gap. And nobody else knows what to do, so they just kind of go away. But Poco Loco decides, you know what? My horse can fly. And he tries to jump the gap. He almost makes it, gets some advice from the Native American, and then he runs up the side of the cliff. And that's just the start with this guy. Poco Loco is so lucky. I mean, he catches up to the main group. He's randomly doing things, kind of everything's falling in place. He follows Gyro into this forest, and he decides, you know what, it's time for me to close my eyes. He didn't have to close his eyes. I'm watching, I'm wondering, why did he close his eyes? He chooses to close his eyes, goes through this forest. He's not hitting a single branch. Other characters are looking at this dude, wondering, what's going on here? What kind of voodoo African magic is this guy using? Because he is not being hit by a single branch. Eventually, Gyro decides, this guy's kind of a threat. So he uses his big, luscious steel balls and essentially makes sure he gets hit by branches or trees. But not what you would expect happens. Poco Loco, instead of being knocked out, just gets dragged along by his horse, and his horse keeps continuing. It makes absolutely zero sense. Of course, it's later explained by people who know what's gonna happen, but it's hilarious. Not only is that hilarious, as the race is progressing along, Poco Loco finally overtakes Gyro with his crazy luck, but then his horse's legs give out and he's done. Except for the fact that there's a random skeleton there that he uses to use as a sled, which gives his torso ample time to rest while maintaining his place. I mean, this is just simply unbelievable. But enough of Poco Loco. The first part of the race is coming to an end, and Gyro pulls ahead of everybody else, and it looks like he's gonna finish in first, and that's exactly what he does. He uses his big, strong steel balls that are being admired by Johnny Joestar to accelerate himself forward like a sailboat and pull ahead of everybody else and finish starkly in first place. Steel Ball Run Episode 1 has everything I'm looking for in an anime. Number 1, steel balls. Number 2, it's not afraid to offend anybody. White men and white males being called white man. The Native American using his legs to run instead of a horse. The Middle Eastern or Arab guy using a camel instead of a horse. The black guy being late for the race. It had so many moments that were just pure funny. It's not trying to please everybody and be this boring, placid series like Free Run. It's unique in its own way, and it's definitely interesting. I cannot wait to see future episodes of Steel Ball Run.